All right. Boom, boom, boom. We are live, Mr. Darren. How are you?
Just about to have a cough when you asked,
Ah!
how are you?
Oh,
In mid-cough.
there's our thumbnail.
Oh no, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Oh, hey, this was very nice. We got a comment already from our
Wow.
pal Brian. Won't be able to join live today, but happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and I hope everyone has a
Oh,
great day. So,
of
yeah,
course. It's
yes.
like it's like your guys' mini. We don't do Thanksgiving over here, but it's sort of like a mini Christmas, or well, a second Christmas,
Yeah.
like hobbits have a second breakfast,
And a third and a fourth and a fifth.
and a third and a fourth. Exactly. Yes. Any excuse.
Those
Good
hobbits.
idea.
Hobbits are like cats. They just, any excuse to eat, they'll eat.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Thank you, Brian. That was very nice. Yes, it is Thanksgiving week here at or in the United States. So very often what happens is businesses will close for both Thursday and Friday. And Friday, of course, is Black Friday, the big day
Oh
when
no,
sales
yes,
appear
shopping
that are
day.
the same as sales the rest of the year when they have them. Now, there are some pretty good deals. What did I buy? I bought for the new video studio. So I think I mentioned this. I have a green screen video studio at the office, and I've been working on pulling down the. I'm sorry, let me just check something here real quick. Testing one, two, three. Okay, well, no, I guess that's about right. All right. Sorry. Right. So I've been working on pulling down the green screen. No doubt if Eric were with us today, he'd be like, what the heck? We spent a whole day putting that up. He came out to help me put it up
Uh,
12 years
yeah.
ago, 13 years ago, whenever we put it up. We spent the entire day stretching this fabric,
Oh
special
yeah.
chroma key green
Yeah.
fabric.
You don't want creases in there, and the lighting as well is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, the lighting we had pretty well, and I'm going to keep using the same lighting, but we spent the day putting furring strips up on the wall and then stretching the fabric across and stapling it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing, and he helped me with that. And I'm tearing it all down. Tore it all down. I've got new panels I'm going to put up on the wall, and then I'm going to underlight them with different colors, like purple, blue,
Okay.
whatever. Like we have purple and blue in the background here. I was going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
uplight them with some new lights. Well, I got 4 panels up the other day, and I realized. And by the way, I don't know why I decided to do this. I have a camera set up in the room, and I just hit record. So everything I'm doing in the room is being captured and recorded. And maybe what I'm going to do is edit it down and release it as here's how I redid the studio. But I got 4 panels up and realized I was off. They were just tilted slightly by about that much,
Oh,
like
oh, that's
that
enough to
much.
get you. You have to do it again.
Yes, yes. So what was happening is, as I was putting up the panels, they were either not lining up quite right, or they were just slowly tilting more and more as you go across the wall.
Oh,
So I thought I had it nice and straight. In fact, I used the level on my phone, and it was like, yeah, you're 0 degrees, nice and straight. And then I realized, if you're watching the video,
yeah.
see these buttons? Whoops, see these buttons right here?
Uh-huh.
Guess what? If you're setting your phone down on something and you're trying to level it, you
Oh,
can't
of
have the
course.
buttons there.
The button, yeah, you're off by a degree, or well, a little bit if
Just
you
a little
rest it
bit.
on the buttons. Oh
And
no,
it,
don't rest it on the buttons.
and it doesn't matter which side I used, there's buttons on both
Of
sides.
course, there's
So
buttons on both sides. Oh no. did Apple think of this when they designed the phone?
Apparently not.
Oh dear.
So I did bring another level, a real level, with me to the office, and I was leveling it all out. I thought, yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close to level. Well, it wasn't close enough because as I was putting up, like I said, as I put up the panels, so on video, it's captured on video. None of it's live stream, but it's captured on video. I tore all the panels back off the wall with part of the wall with them. And
Oh
so
no.
now next week, I'm going to go there with a proper T-square, nice straight T-square, my level. I'm going to just, draw nice straight lines all up and down the wall, and hopefully
Oh,
use that as a basis for putting the rest of the panels up. Assuming I get all that done, so I purchased these lights. The general studio term for these types of lights is wall washer, because you're putting the light up
okay.
and it's washing
Yeah,
the
okay.
wall with light.
Nice.
And I was looking at all kinds of different wall washer lights, and they're all a lot more than I wanted to spend. And then the ones that were cheaper, I'm like, well, do I really want that? And then there are, these off-brand companies I never heard of, and they want you to run an app. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to run their app on my phone, and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Well, I settled on, and I'm assuming this is going to work well. This is probably going to work as well as the level of my phone worked to
Wow. That
straighten
good,
the panels from the wall. But I purchased a set of 30-inch long lights that are designed to go behind a television. They're designed to be mounted on the TV
Yeah.
and or on a table. Put it
Yeah.
on a table so it's a wall washer, right? It lights up the wall behind the TV. Well,
Yeah.
these are from Govee, and I've had pretty good luck with Govee lights before. Govee, Govee,
Yeah, it
very
rings a bell.
easy to find on Amazon, and they have all kinds of home lighting and all kinds of stuff, and their app is pretty friendly, and they're big enough that I think if they did anything untoward with their app, people would give them
Yeah,
hell.
this is where it's a good idea to buy a brand and not get something completely unknown.
Yeah, yeah. So I purchased these. It's kind of interesting. They're two 15-inch parts that snap together, and you can run them
Oh,
separately.
magnetic.
No, not magnetic, but
Uh,
you can run them separately. So I could run it as just a 15-inch unit, or
or
you snap them together, and
215.
then
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
a 30-inch unit. So I bought the two
Okay.
pack. It's two 30-inch light bars that will light up the
Will
wall behind
illuminate
me.
the room. Yeah, nice.
So that
What
is
could go wrong?
the what could go wrong, and are currently, as we record this, on sale, Black Friday sale on Amazon. It was $85 for the pair, which was a pretty good price when I compared it to
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
quote wall washer would cost. And I don't need a professional setup because I don't have the other equipment to run, what do they call it? DMX connections, I think they are. So if you have like a DJ mixing thingamabobber,
Oh, yeah.
which I
For
don't know the
for
term for, but
timing and triggering and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think it's
you don't need that.
DMX. Yeah, there's like these DMX controllers that you could plug into the lights, and then you can control the lights from your DJ thingy, or your professional lighting setup.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that stuff. So because I don't know what I'm talking about, I thought it would be better to go with more of a consumer grade type thing for the
Yeah,
purposes,
yeah,
at
makes
least
sense.
at
I would.
first. And I know they're going to be easy to control because these lights back here are Govee lights that, and they're just they're about a foot long lights just to light up the
Yeah, that's nice.
the
Yeah.
wall there. You know, just give a little bit of light. And those are too small because I want to light the whole wall.
Yes.
So I went with these others, and they arrived today. It was a really good Black Friday sale. So that is probably the extent of my Black Friday shopping, if I'm being honest. I don't plan to buy a whole lot.
Yeah. I must admit, the only thing I might purchase, although I've got to do some quick figuring out, is I have you remember my woes that I'm having with all sorts of disk drives and so on, and it's been such a pain that I've decided to go all in on the cloud now. I'm not doing
Whole
drives
hog.
anymore. Whole hog indeed. But I do have one potentially failed drive. I'm not entirely sure if it's failed or if it's just the file system has got mangled in some way. So I'm going to like investigate that drive to see if it has any life left in it, or possibly replace that drive. So that's the only purchase I'm thinking of doing. But that'll be quite a small purchase, just a physical non-SSD archival drive, just to put some stuff on it as a secondary backup. But yeah, I've decided to go all in on the cloud. So the way I'm doing it is I'm using, obviously I use iCloud a lot, but I've also gone in, but I haven't paid for anything yet. I've gone in for
Oh,
using
you're on the 5 gig plan.
well, not entirely, because there are some tweaks you could. There are some things you can do. You can say, or if you promote this, or you click through this on uh, what's it called, their browser,
Safari.
Edge. There we go. Yeah, no. If you if you do some clicking around in Edge, you can actually do some of the things that this was on the early
Oh,
days.
OneDrive.
OneDrive, yeah. So
Oh, I thought we were talking
so
about
through.
iCloud. I thought we were talking about
Oh
iCloud.
no, no. So
Yeah.
what I'm planning on doing is I'm getting one cloud service to back the other cloud service up, so they each act as a backup to each other. So
Right.
although you shouldn't really rely on a cloud service as a true backup, even though
Not
they
as a
do have
backup,
their own
right?
internal
Yeah.
backup data center backups of your stuff. Your stuff isn't just stored in one place in one data center. It's
Yeah.
like striped around all over the place. So essentially, the guys that run the cloud service for storage do have their own internal backups of your stuff. And over the last 10, 15 odd years that I've been using cloud storage, I've never lost a file. So it proves itself really. And
Right.
there's also revisions and various other things. But so essentially, I'm using my one cloud service to back the other cloud service up. So if one does have an issue, I don't expect they will, but if they did, then I'll have another copy on another cloud service as well.
Yeah.
And also I'll bung I'll bung another copy on a spare drive that I like get through a Black Friday deal probably. So that's the plan, and it's working out well so far. I've done a few little things in the early days when I set up my OneDrive account. This was many years ago, when they were when OneDrive was a mere cricket. Yeah,
It was a
so
different name. They went through like three
it
different
wasn't.
names
That's
for
it.
it.
It was called
Yeah.
SkyDrive, I think,
Right.
originally. Yeah,
Right.
that's it. Yeah. So in the early days, I managed to do a little bit of uh, clicking around that they suggested. If I did this, I'd gain some more data. So I managed to permanently gain 15 gig of data on my OneDrive.
Hmm.
I've still never given them any money at all for any of this. So this is really good. I think I've got a good deal out of it for the last 10 years, having spent nothing whatsoever. And I've had some really excellent mail hosting and cloud services hosting for their cloud services apps as well. And also now 15 gig storage on OneDrive for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm still probably going to up that and pay the £20 a year, but that's a drop in the ocean compared to the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds that I've spent with NASes and drives and trying to get everything to not fail on me every 5 minutes.
Well, okay. So but I've done the same thing with Dropbox, where you share it with friends, and then they give you 5
That's
or
it.
10 gig of
Bit of
data or
promotion,
whatever.
bit of extra. Yeah, that's
I've
it.
done that. Eventually, I did buy into it because I wanted more space, and
Mm,
the cost of Dropbox is getting very high. It's $120 a year
yeah,
for me now,
that's
and
quite a lot.
in my head, I'm thinking that's 4 years of that. If I had decided 4 years ago to go with a NAS, it would have paid for
You'd
itself.
have paid for it. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I'm kind of leaning in that direction right now, but I'm not quite ready to make the switch. Um, I think I have something like 2 terabytes of Dropbox
That's the
storage,
thing. Yeah.
and something I never use, 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage that is from
Oh,
my Microsoft 365 subscription,
oh, well, make use of that, definitely.
which again they keep raising the price of, and I'm probably about ready to drop that as well. But yeah, I have all this storage out there, and I don't know. Yes, they have backups, but there's no guarantees. If you need something back and
Well,
it's
no,
not
no.
in the revisions, if it's not in your trash, the general answer is, sorry. You know, that's generally the answer. Now, if they screw up, that's what their backups are for. Their backups are for when they screw up, not for when you screw up. Now, to be fair, there's no guarantees when you do your own manual backups, or you use Time Machine, or you use Carbonite, or use any other backup service. There's no guarantees there either. Backup drives fail. Um,
No.
but
Well, that's where I've been previously bitten by my own drives and also storing things on optical discs. So, of course, optical discs
mm,
now hardly exist anymore. And I've been one of the reasons why I buy digital movies as well is because I've been bitten a few times with optical discs where they degrade and they've clouded over and they've just gone mad. And it's like, well,
gone mad.
I'm
Blah.
I'm not doing exactly bad DVDs. Yeah, yeah. So
Poorly
I'm like,
manufactured
right,
discs will, yes, if they're not
yes,
sealed properly and air can get
I'm
into
done
them,
with
they'll,
that now.
yeah, yeah. If
I'm done with physical media now. I'm not doing it anymore.
well, and I'm kind of going the opposite direction. I'm tired of the cloud services, and
Fair
I'm
enough.
I'm moving local. But what I did want to ask, and this is a serious question, and I think it's fair
Mm,
to say, I don't think we're maligning anybody by saying this. You expressed a lot of uh, unhappiness with your NAS solution. What brand
indeed.
NAS were you using, or was it a roll your own white box situation?
Oh no, no, it was a branded NAS. It was, or still is, because it still kind of is like kind of working, although it complains pretty much every day now. And that's the other thing about buying into hardware. Um, it's great when you first get it. It's all supported for 1 or 2, 2 years or so, and then third, fourth year they start to drop support for it. So you can't like it drifts out of support, and you can't. You have certificate issues that you can't solve, and then you get other issues you can't solve. You can't update it. It all turns into a horrible mess. So I've got a big hunk of metal that is just gone out of support and is not entirely happy, and I can't do an awful lot with it. So that's another reason why I'm going away from the
What
hardware kind of thing.
what brand is it though?
Oh yes, you wanted to know the actual
Yes,
brand.
I
Yes, here we
want
go.
to know what
Let's do
brand.
a
We are
name
going
drop.
to
Let's do
live stream the
let's do a name
brand
drop.
that you dislike so
The-
much. No.
well, I would like it
Yeah.
if it carried on doing what it promised it would, but they never do. A lot of these hardware devices they
Well,
just fall off after a
that's
while,
another conversation. I mean, I
which is another
found
yeah, indeed.
I found that deploying a decent quality NAS to a small business gives that
Oh
business
yes.
about the same life and functionality as if you deployed a Linux server or a Windows server to them. And the cost
Yeah,
is
which
much
also
lower.
needs maintenance and refreshing every now and then and so
Yeah.
on, drive cycling and
And,
all the other malarkey. Yeah.
a NAS that runs as it should will let you know when a drive has impending failure and should be replaced, and all
Yeah.
that all that stuff. But what brand? What brand did you have?
Right, here goes then. This is
Yeah.
the actual brand I bought. The brand was Netgear. What I wanted to
Mm,
do was get a very simplified NAS. All I wanted was file
right.
storage and a little bit of presenting those files across the network. Nothing too fancy. And because it was quite simple and it had a really, really nice web interface to it, it was all really good in the first 2 years that I had it, and then it all started going downhill quite dramatically, and there was failure after failure and no support. Oh, you can't get anything from them anymore. It's like, oh, great. So now I've spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds on drives and NAS boxes, and I've spent
Yeah.
numerous amounts of time as well. That's the other thing you don't factor in sometimes, is that your time is worth money. As they say, time is money, and I've spent a huge amount of time on all these solutions and services and copying data back and forth onto different drives
Yeah.
that I don't need to do if I just let someone else handle all the nightmare of managing all of this, and I just give my money to a cloud service.
Well, okay. So
I know it's abstracting the.
no, no, no,
I know
no.
it's cheating, really, in a way.
My only comment there is that when you look at solutions like the Netgear, the Western Digital Multi-Drive, NAS
Yeah, that's the other thing that
solutions,
I was looking at. Yeah.
all these companies that create these easy to deploy, I'm not sure. I think calling them a RAID solution is better than calling them a NAS, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they deploy these inexpensive, comparatively or relatively inexpensive uh, NAS slash RAID solutions that are intended to run on your network. And you're right, they don't support them for any decent amount of time. And when
Yes.
the support goes away, so does often the drive goes away as well. There is,
That's it.
oh, I
I've been
don't have
bitten
it on
with
the
that
shelf
with
now, but
plenty of things as well. I've been bitten with that with I did buy a Google laptop. I've forgotten
oh,
what
well,
the
there you
OS
go.
is now. A Chrome OS. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
those Chrome laptops. I
um,
mean, so
well, they were
Chrome
supposed to
OS,
have many years of support in them, and then
uh,
2 years later they say no, you can't upgrade the OS on this anymore. You're toast. It's like, oh great.
well,
What happened to all that money I just gave you?
Yeah, Chrome OS by itself is okay. I mean, it is essentially a Linux derivative. It's a
Yeah,
Linux.
yeah.
It's
Well,
a Linux distro.
it didn't start out that way, but it certainly has turned into a Linux distribution in a
No,
way.
Chrome OS has always been a
Although
Linux
it's
distro. It's
or
always been
based on,
Linux.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Um,
you couldn't get at the Linuxy side early on. It was all just a webby
in
based
fact,
thing, but
technically,
you can
Android is
now.
Linux too, isn't it? I think Android is. Yeah, that's Linux.
Yeah, a
But
derivative.
anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, the Chrome OS, those laptops are in general poorly built pieces of junk. And I won't name any names, but
And
they're
indeed.
just bad construction, low powered processors, limited
Yeah,
memory. If
I made a couple of bad choices there with Netgear and
they're
Google for
just,
buying
yeah.
those
So, well,
devices.
and see, that's the thing. I don't want to say they're bad choices, but I would argue in favor of NAS if you looked at something like a dual drive Synology NAS, a
Yeah.
true network attached storage device versus something like the Netgear. And we didn't mention a specific brand of Netgear or model of Netgear or whatever, but something like the Synology or even the Ugreen. I've had somewhat poor experience with QNAP, but most of that is security issues, honestly.
Hmm.
Not that they don't patch them, but you don't hear about as many security issues with some of the others. I guess because they stay more on top of them or something. But Synology, the one benefit of those is that they're so widely deployed and so widely used that there are
Yes.
actually alternative operating systems for them. So if you
Indeed, yeah, yeah. I learned that after I bought
sure,
the
right,
Nokia.
exactly. I think that's it. And a dual
If I was
drive
buying one now, then that's what I would buy. Yeah.
Synology is a bare unit, not terribly expensive, possibly in the same realm as the Netgear. I don't know how much the Netgear was, and it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
that's it. Yeah. I think the only reason I didn't go to Synology initially was the fact that I only needed file storage.
Right,
So I didn't need all the extra bells and whistles, and I wanted to go for simplicity.
right.
And the Netgear's approach was the
Was good.
simpler
Yeah,
approach. Yeah, indeed.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a bad choice for me. I mean, like you said, it's probably it may not be a bad choice for everyone, but for me, I think that was probably the wrong choice to have made of NAS for me
So
myself.
yeah, so one of these days when I have enough ducats, I'm going to go the Synology route, and that's probably the main thing that's been holding me back. Is I look at the dual drive and I think, okay, that's great, it does what I need it to do, but would I be better served by a unit that has
Yeah,
four drives?
yeah. I mean, with what you've got, you probably need a bit more, and what you're doing with it as well. So a few more drives, you need probably a 5 bay or something like that.
And
Um,
now that they've backtracked on the you have to use hard drives, I feel more
and it's
comfortable
great,
talking
no
about the current
problem.
models because the
Yeah.
previous models that didn't have that restriction started going up and up and up in price because people were like,
Yes.
people want these. They don't want the new ones. They want the old ones. So the prices started going up, or they became very hard to find. Now that Synology is kind of pulled back a little bit, not all the way, because you still need to use, I believe, their SSDs for the caching drives. I don't
Okay.
believe, even though OWC, Western Digital, all these companies have SSDs that are certified for Synology NASs, Synology won't run with them, which is annoying. But
That's not too
anyway,
bad though for a cache. I can forgive them for that. Yeah.
yeah, the Dropbox-like functionality that they offer, and even if you want to go so far as their photo management, ooh, there's a tie into the episode. The
Oh, there's
photo
a tie-in. There
management
you go.
aspect of it, uh, and the file storage, of course, just the regular local file storage,
Yeah.
is what's appealing to me versus the Ugreen, which is the up and coming darling of the NAS world, and they're priced about the same as Synology. They're lacking the Dropbox-like functionality though, without jumping through a lot of hoops. And I don't really want to jump through hoops. I want to be like you. I want to deploy something and make it easy to deploy, but have the power there that I need when I
Yeah.
want to use it. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I would, if I was doing it all again, I'd stick to Synology. But I've been so fed up with all the time it takes and the maintenance and the drive swapping and the hundreds and hundreds of pounds I'm spending. I'm thinking if I'm only going to be spending £20 a year. Microsoft can
right,
have all the trouble of looking after this. I don't have to
right,
worry
right.
about it. I don't have to worry my pretty little head about it. And then yeah, I think that's the right way for me to go. The only thing that I would be having separate is the media that I would stream, and I believe I found a very simple solution to that. I can just plug a memory stick into the back of my router, and it'll appear on my streaming box. So that makes that easy. So that's the idea. That's what I'm going to go for.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, heck, it's the whole reason I don't run my own mail servers anymore. I used to run my own mail servers for years and years, 10 years.
Mm,
I ran
mm.
my own mail servers. Well, it's a pain in the butt to run your own mail
Yeah,
server, especially, with the rise in spam, the rise in scammers. I mean, all that stuff you have to stay on top of just to keep your mail server safe and secure because
yeah,
it is by design a public facing box.
yeah.
And
Let
if
someone else manage it.
let someone else manage it, let someone else worry about the security, let someone else worry about the spam controls, let somebody else worry about, sure, do it. And that's the joy and beauty of cloud storage services.
Yeah, yeah. I've had that's the thing over the years. I mean, I think it's like at least 10 years. I've had much better luck with cloud services and solutions than I have with physical solutions.
Yeah,
I've
I've
been
I've
bitten
never
quite
had
a
them
bit with
fail.
the physical side.
Yeah, I've never had a cloud service fail on me yet. knock on
Yes,
wood.
indeed. Touch wood. There you go.
And I do the same thing as you, though, with photos. And then we'll go on to the show. Same thing with photos is not
Yes.
only is my phone, my Mac doesn't do this, but my phone does this. When I take a picture with my iPhone, yes, it gets backed up. Yes, it gets uploaded to iCloud
So,
Photos,
indeed, synced.
but at the same time, Dropbox is running in the background and also uploads
Oh, you
to
get twice. Yeah.
Dropbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I wanted to, I could do we talked about this last episode, I could do the Amazon photos as well and
Indeed.
simultaneously
Yeah.
upload
Yeah.
there,
There's.
or OneDrive, or whatever other service I want to. Or if I had a Synology NAS, I could use their Photos app to sync to
Yeah.
the Synology in addition to iCloud Photos and what have you. Yeah,
Indeed.
it's fun. So, you know the rough topic today,
The outline. Indeed.
the outline of it. I sent you that article. It was a good article. I really I enjoy her
Yeah, that
writing.
was brilliant. That was very, very good article. When I read the headline, I thought, oh, it's going to be limited to this one thing.
Yeah,
And then when I read through it, it was like, oh, this is looking at lots of aspects of your digital life and so on. It was
absolutely.
an excellent article. Excellent
Yeah.
article.
And while I want to focus just on the photo side of it, and by photos I
Yeah,
mean
sure.
Apple Photos, I'm happy to and I know I said 15 minutes, but whatever it takes, that's fine. The 15 just seemed like a long time in my head when I wrote it, but
Yeah.
we've just been talking for a half an hour, for goodness sakes. So
Of
um,
course. Yeah, yeah. I'd probably do a 5-minute little thing. Yeah.
yeah, whatever that aspect takes. 5 minutes maybe is too short. 15 maybe too short. Maybe it's too long. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Um, but the most important question I have right at the moment is the title. So I wrote
Oh,
down.
okay.
Oh, I hate to spoil it. I hate to spoil. Here, I'm going to put it in. I'm going
It's
to put
always a
it
surprise,
in
usually.
chat. Yeah, I'll put it in. Let's see if I can open this up here.
Oh, hold on. Shall I get the chat window open?
Oh,
Where
yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
yeah. I'll use. You're right. I'll use Zoom's chat. That works. Okay, here we go. So here are the options for title. See, people watching this
Oh, I've
live are
never.
like, "Oh, tell us the title." I'll
Oh,
tell you the title in
oh.
just a minute. All right, here we go. So this is what popped into my head. Or
Okay, yeah.
or should it be um, because of the, or should it be that?
Ah,
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to have a play on words and say, oh, can I say it?
Just say one or two, or type in
um,
something different.
right. Oh my God, I've got to type now. On a second. And the
Do
cat's trying
do
to eat my
do
fingers
do
as well.
do 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 do
Uh,
do do
oh
do
no,
do
my
do
cat's
do
sitting on the
do
keyboard.
do. Oh, sorry. I probably shouldn't be using the
Oh
Jeopardy
no,
theme
she's
song.
she's walked across the keyboard now.
What did Princess type
Oh,
in?
oh, maybe she's
She has her own ideas
oh,
for what we should talk about. Princess
right.
the
I've
cat.
got a slightly um, play on words version of that.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's good too.
There's subtleties to it because it ties into the article.
Right. Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Mm-mm.
That is okay. Remember?
You're wondering how you can sell this. Yeah, you're doing the actors bit like, oh, uh, Is this my
Yeah.
line?
Yeah. Compelling live streaming here.
Yeah, you see behind the curtain.
I think, all right, I like all three. I think I'm going to go with my gut and the very first one I typed in.
Cool.
And that is because the point, my thinking of that was they're not forgotten, right? They continue
That's
to
it.
pop up. Yeah, I'm
That's
going to go
the
with that.
issue with your digital life. Yeah, it's never
That's it.
forgotten.
Okay, I'm going to go with that. We're going to go with my gut, which is
Go for it.
the original title I came up with. That's what we'll go with. Okay.
But now I've got to act surprised when you say the show title. That's the problem.
Right. The
Oh
other
dear.
thing is I just realized that I didn't type an intro line. Okay.
Oh no, you have no script.
Script-ish. Usually it's like just, yeah, some sort of.
Some notes.
What
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still have in here is kicking off the 20th season. I'm like, well, that's not right.
No, it did that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll just delete that line and I'll just wing it. I'll wing it. Winging it is always a good option.
Yeah, just as long as it's like not take two, take three, take four, take five.
Right, exactly. We already lost one viewer. There was somebody on and they just ticked off. So,
Wow. Okay,
or clicked
okay.
off, I should say, not ticked off, clicked off. Okay.
I know, we don't want TikTok viewers.
Well, it's not the most super compelling. All right, I forgot to mention. I should have mentioned this right up front, right? But we
Oh
do
yes, this
need
isn't the
to.
show, by the way.
What's that?
Yeah, you forgot to mention this isn't the show, by the way. This is a
This isn't the
preamble.
show. This is it. Now I can't backtrack and put this back at the beginning, but 39 minutes into it, I'm going to explain what we are live streaming the recording of the podcast, and we're
Yeah,
live streaming it to YouTube. Obviously, that's where you're watching this. So what you are seeing and what you're hearing is the unbaked cake. This so you got the pre-show, you got the gaffes, you got our discussion about NASs, you've got which would qualify as a rat hole conversation,
yeah, absolutely.
and comments from listeners like our buddy Brian, who wished everybody a happy Thanksgiving for the week. And then what I do is when we're done recording, I take the audio from this, which is actually being recorded separately right here. I take and here actually it's being recorded twice. It's being recorded by Ecamm. No, three times. It's being recorded by Ecamm. It's being recorded by my pod track over here, my mixer on my left, and it's being recorded by Zoom. Oh, and YouTube four times. Four times it's being recorded.
Wow.
Talk about fail
This is
safe.
like the Spanish Inquisition sketch.
Nobody expects the recording process.
Indeed.
So I take those audio files, which are ISO tracks, by the way. I've got one track for Darren, I've got one track for me, and if we have additional folks on the show, I have one track for each of them. I take the audio tracks, I bring them into my audio editing app, which is in my case Audacity, and then I edit that down for the audio show. So that's what we're doing here. And you catch us live streaming most of the time. In fact, through the rest of this year, you should catch us live streaming at 1 p.m. Central Time, which is, you're 6 hours ahead still, right?
I am indeed, yes. It is
6
7:38
hours.
p.m.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Yeah. So 1 p.m. Central Time, that would be 11 a.m. Pacific. It would be 2 p.m. Eastern, and it would be 7 p.m. UK time. And
That's it.
I'll just let you figure out what your time is in the rest of the world. Anyway, you'll find us on the second and fourth Saturday of each month at youtube.com/FMEOTV. And our next live stream after today, I should probably mention, will be December 13th. December 13th. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You don't have any problem with the 27th, right?
Oh yeah. I'm not doing anything much, but yeah, I could do 27th.
You're good with the 27th? Okay, yeah.
Why not?
The 25th being
What could
a
go?
holiday, the 26th being a holiday in the UK. Are no problem with the 27th recording on that date.
No problem on the 27th. Yep, no problem at all.
Awesome.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay, so that's our next two dates, and then I already told you this, Darren. We've got a special guest joining us on January 10th for
Very
episode
exciting.
465. So that will be a really fun episode, and no spoilers. No spoilers.
Absolutely.
We're going to just bring her on January 10th. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what we've got lined up for the next few weeks. And one of those, maybe it'll be our last second gift guide. Should our December 13th one be our last second, oh my gosh, I got to run to the store and buy a gift guide?
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent here is run to the petrol station. It's the only thing open on the last days of Christmas. There you go. Petrol station gifts.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Can of Pringles and you're good.
Oh. Just avoid those Android tablets in the petrol station. You're not going to get a very good experience.
Yeah. And the Lafufus, if you collect those Labubus.
Oh, if you need a Lafufu, wow.
Unless you want a Lafufu.
You probably need help.
Yeah, the Lafufus are what you'll find in the gas stations as well.
Indeed.
So, yeah, indeed. All right, how about we get going with the show? That's probably a good idea. Huh?
That's probably not a bad idea, actually. No, we're about 40 minutes in so far.
Yeah, we just blew 4 minutes, 5 minutes. All right. You got quiet there for a second. I realized you're having a lovely beverage.
Yes. No Puddle of Mud this time. Something
no
slightly
different.
Mud. Just a normal Coke.
I am proud to say
did you try the Puddle of Mud?
No,
you haven't tried it yet.
I was just going to say I'm proud to say I have not tried the Puddle of Mud.
Well, you'll have to
I will
rectify the situation. Indeed.
I know. I will. I'll try it. Maybe. Orange juice and Coke.
It looks bad.
Yeah.
It just looks bad. It tastes nice, but it looks bad.
Well, that's why it's called Puddle of Mud. I mean, if you mix
it looks like one, yeah.
Orangish colored drink with a brown drink, you're gonna get
a muddy looking drink.
Which
is funny enough what you get.
Oh dear. Okay. Here we go. On with the show.
Excellent.
I don't know how long this is going to take. We'll just get through it and see what happens.
It might be a short show, you never know.
Yeah. I do have an intro. I have a little intro to what we're discussing, why we're discussing it, who this person is who wrote the article. And then I have a little intro to you with a quote from the article. And then I'll just toss it over to you for your part of the episode, your segment, as it were, the parts of it that you pulled out of the article that you wanted to talk about. Let's put it that way. And then I'll flip it over to me for the part of the article that I wanted to talk about, which would be a little bit more targeted or focused on the Mac using side of it specifically.
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. It's For Mac Guys Only, episode number 462 for November 22nd, 2025. Memories Not Soon Forgotten. Hey everyone, welcome back to For Mac Guys Only, the show for the Mac community. The show for the Mac community, where we share our thoughts and opinions on current Mac news and events. And joining me to talk photo memory management is Darren Davies. Howdy, Darren.
Hi there. Yeah, that's easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. I see I'm starting off just as well as I started off last episode, which, fortunately, I can edit all out.
can fix it in post.
Fix it in post. Remember, we normally record for Mac Guys Only live on YouTube the second and fourth Saturday of the month. And if you would like to come hang out, ask questions, and be part of our live studio audience, be sure to subscribe to the show at youtube.com/FMEO TV. And if you are joining us live, I'll be keeping an eye on that chat room. So if you have any questions or comments as we move along, drop them in there, and we will try to address them here on the show. This episode, Darren, I wanted to talk about a really interesting article that I actually came across in Wired magazine, and it was written by Lauren Good. I presume I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's not Goody.
Yep.
But Lauren Good, titled "Always a Bride." And this article actually details her struggles getting services like Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and yes, even Apple from regurgitating memories of her wedding that she had called off 2 years prior to writing the article. Now, I will admit, this is a little bit of an older article. I just came across it again the other day, and as I read it, I was thinking this would be a great topic for the show, because it is still a relevant topic, and the issues that she describes are only getting worse as she describes the apps that start, quote, co-opting memories, madly deploying them to boost engagement and make a buck off nostalgia. Now, as we describe aspects of the article, I don't want to forget one very super important thing. Ms. Good is not only a tech journalist, an excellent one, by the way. I actually devour all of her articles the moment they hit print or hit my screen, but she is by definition and self-described as a tech super user. So if these problems can happen to her, imagine what it's like for those without the power of the pen to bring the issues to light. Now, with that said, we're not looking to solve the author's problems. She more than has the chops to do so on her own. But rather, what I wanted to do is I wanted to share some of the issues that are described in the piece and offer some of our own suggestions to those who may not be tech superstars or tech journalists from Wired. And let's keep in mind, too, that this article is an older one, and some of the issues that are raised in the article may have already been solved or solutions provided by the companies in question. But in truth, and I think you mentioned this in an email the other day, Darren, I can only imagine that it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Now, there are actually two sides to the story. There's the public or the public-facing third-party app side of the story, and then there's the private side of the story. Now, I don't mean private as in privacy or privacy concerns or things like that. I mean the private, the personal, the on the user's end of thing. That private side. There's a private side to the story as well. The one that we have more control over, and specifically.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And specifically, in the case of what I want to talk about today, Apple Photos. And if you're an Android user, Google Photos too, to a certain extent, really. Now,
yeah.
Darren, you actually had some thoughts on the third-party app side that I know that you wanted to share. Specifically, early in the article, very early in the article, Ms. Good laments services resurfacing memories of her wedding, a wedding that she and her husband-to-be canceled 2 years before the article was written, as I said. And she describes the problem as, quote, wedding ads on Instagram, or a near daily collage of wedding paraphernalia on Pinterest, or the happy anniversary emails from Wedding Wire. And then she goes on to
Yes.
say, our smartphones pulse with memories now. So I know you had some very specific things you wanted to mention about that, especially I think on the public facing slash privacy side of things and how companies tend to do exactly as she said, mine our data for, well, for money. So
Yeah.
where would you want to start when approaching this article?
Well, I think the article was extremely good because it wasn't just highlighting issues with your photos being stored as memories and then resurfacing, but it highlighted the whole concept of um, when data is well, not well, mind is a harsh word, I suppose, but when data is gathered from you about what's going on in your life, for instance, which you choose to share sometimes, so it's your choice to share it. It doesn't know the new status of that data. So it doesn't know that you decided against doing something or that you've, once you've started something, you actually stopped. So it still thinks it's a valid thing to use for marketing, to market things at you.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies. It doesn't turn off. It doesn't say, you're not doing that anymore, or you finished that marathon that you were telling people about. That's all over now, and I'm not going to have to send everything to do with running to you anymore because you've sort of finished with that side of things. So it doesn't know that something has ended.
It doesn't know.
So
Right. Exactly.
it still thinks everything is valid. So yeah, so far as it knows, you're still getting married 20 years later when you decided not to. So it, it it's a very well highlighted issue in the article to say, this stuff just isn't recognized by pretty much any of the services that they don't know. They rely on. In the case of Apple, it's not so bad because you can go in and choose to say later on that I don't want this particular set of photos or these memories to be included in future automatically generated things. Apple just thinks it's doing something nice for you to make a
Right.
nice little memory video that you can share. So they're not necessarily trying to sell you something, whereas all the other guys are absolutely trying to make a buck or three out of you and actively sell you things. So, for instance, like especially with Facebook, they want to keep you on the platform as long as possible, and to a certain extent YouTube as well. In fact, lots of them, so that they can surface more ads to you and target you more accurately with things you may or may not want. So that's the difference. Yeah.
To an extent, I mean, Apple has their own reasons for wanting to keep you on their platform as well.
True.
From their perspective, it's to sell hardware, to sell services like iCloud Photos. You need more storage. You got to keep all these pictures, that sort of thing. There is also the side of it that I've seen mentioned quite a few times. In fact, as I was verifying some of the things I wanted to talk about, I came across
Yeah.
forums on Apple's website where people simply referred to this as creepy. So
It
there's
can come across as creepy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
there's that personal feeling of, why are these memories coming back? Now, in my case, I'll be honest. In my case, I actually like the memories feature. There's a lot of
Yeah.
memories that are pulled up and presented to me that I'm like, oh, that was great. I really enjoyed that trip, or I really enjoyed that. I get a lot of cat memories. Because
Furry friends.
furry friends. With my iPhone, I take a lot of photos of our cats, more so with the iPhone than I do with my DSLR, because it's handy. And when they're doing something strange like cats do, I take a picture of them. And so there are plenty of memories on my phone of our cats, including cats who are no longer with us. So those, to me, are nice memories to relive. I have not had the experience of memory surfacing that I didn't want to revisit.
That's it.
And I guess in that
That's the
regard,
one downside to that's one of the downsides of Apple Photos, or any photo service really. It can't differentiate. It doesn't know the difference between a memory that you would be happy to see again and a
right,
memory that you don't want to be reminded of again,
right.
unless you go in and tell it. So it can't do that automatically yet, anyway.
Yeah, and
and
that
and
was
it's a bigger question: do we actually want it to do it automatically or not, or attempt any of this with AI, for instance? Would we actually even want it to?
probably not, quite frankly.
Probably
But
not, I would say. Yes.
the thrust of the article was that many of these external services, especially services like Wedding Wire, I mean, why on earth would Wedding Wire not think that a wedding that was being planned 3 or 4 years prior would be over? Why would it continue to surface wedding dresses? That is
Exactly.
such a
It's
weird thing to
it's
me.
dumb.
Yeah.
There's no AI involved in that. And the other interesting thing about the article mentioning Wedding Wire was that it had 16 other trackers gathering the data that she was typing into Wedding
Right.
Wire that's going off to all these other services and storing data that she didn't want stored on the other services as well. So they were aggressively gathering data. So even though they looked like they had a nice clean not free service, but a nice service. They were also making money on the side by hoovering up as much data as they could from her and just giving it or selling it to
Selling it.
uh, whoever wants to pay for it. Some companies don't seem to have any morals, and they'll just sell your data to any horrific data broker out there, which is my big beef. I don't think that data brokers should actually even be allowed to exist in this day and age. It's a
Well,
horrifying type of company, a broker of data. They're just hoovering up stuff, selling stuff that you never gave them permission to have in the first place, and making money off your data, just hoovering stuff up from you. I think they're disgusting creatures.
well, and yet, while I'm not a fan of that either, there is the other side of it where by using a free service, you become the product. And
Yes, but many
I'm
people don't realize they're the product.
I'm certain, I think people are starting to realize it more and more. But
Yes.
by using these services, by signing up for, and let's not continue to unfairly pick on Wedding Wire. I mean, it is a service she signed up for, and whatever terms of service were presented to her said, "Hey, we
Which we
can
all
do
read,
this."
of course. We all read all
No,
the terms
of
of service
course,
right to the end. Absolutely.
of course. But the they're gonna sell your data because that's how they make the money. And who
Indeed.
they sell it to is not within our control. So it is something that we have to understand when we sign up for the free services, that our data will become product. Our life will become product. And
Yes.
I may not like that, but if I want to use that service, and it's something I've noticed more and more, that there's a certain segment of users that don't even turn to or use local apps installed on their computer. Instead, they immediately turn to the web and search for an
Yes.
online service to do the equivalent, whether it's CAD, whether it's photo editing, whether it's photo editing or management, I should say, whether it's organizing images and data for your impending nuptials. Uh, there's nothing wrong with keeping all that
No,
local,
and there's a
and
good
not
argument to
sharing it with
say
these
that
services.
that's it. There is a good argument to say that if we didn't have advertising and we were forced to pay for every single service we used across the interwebs, we'd all be broke
Yeah,
potentially. So, or we would use much less services. So there is a place for services that are funded in this way, but you do have to be absolutely rock solid sure that the services you're using that are free, how they're funded. And it's a good idea to look at the companies you use and to see what their business model is. How do they make their money? And that will usually tell you how much of a product you are. In some cases, you're mostly not a product at all because, say, for instance, in Apple's case, they have a very straightforward business model, which is here's some nice products, buy them and use them. That's your transaction. Pay the money.
Right.
It may or may not be a little bit more money than other people, but then there's a reason for that. You don't get invasive data mining, whereas on other services you might be looking into using, they have an entirely different approach. They make a big deal about all of their services being absolutely totally free, which is
Right.
great. But then you are at 100% the product in that case, and they fund themselves by targeting ads to you from third parties. And I think it's good to remember that there's a big difference between first-party ads and third-party ads. So when a company is funding themselves through third-party ad targeting, that's one method of making money, which is more intrusive and you want product. And the other opposite to that is first-party ads, which are usually more promotion, their own company promoting their own services.
Yeah.
And without intrusive data mining.
And of course, part of the problem that was shared within the article is that once your data is sold, once your data belongs to these third-party data brokers and they in turn resell it, you start to be followed around the internet with ads selling you floral arrangements and wedding dresses and trips to Aruba or whatever they think might be appealing to folks who are going to be married. And in her case, 2 years in, she was still being followed around by this stuff. And it becomes a game of whack-a-mole to try to stop any one particular service from presenting these ads to you. You know, it's one thing to say, you know what, Facebook, I'm going to just pull all these photos out of here. If you pull the photos out, then that data isn't there to mine, right? If you pull the photos out of Instagram, it shouldn't be there to mine, but the history is there. And I think that's part of the problem too, is
that is, So once your data's been shared across 100 services, then dealing with it on one service and you think you're running done, you're sorted out the problem in the initial service you gave the data to. You haven't, because that, like you say, that data is already out there. It's circulating the world. It's being resold and sold back again. And in some cases, I hate to mention an actual company name that helps you deal with this, but because they do have adverts, and of course they haven't sponsored anything for us at all. But there's that company called Delete Me, which goes around and tries to sort your digital history out and removing things you don't want out there across hundreds of sites. And it's telling what they have to do, because once they've gone around and done that for you across like sometimes many hundreds of sites and services, they have to keep an eye on it forever. They have to go around again because they'll resell each other the data that you did try to get rid of again, and it repropagates again. So delete Me goes around again and again and again and again, cleaning up the internet on your behalf. So so there is a solution to handle all of this, but it is a nightmarish situation to be in, because you have to hire the services of a company to do this, even though it is possible for you to do yourself. Just imagine spending many weeks sitting down across 300 data services and sites and contacting them each and to say, can you remove this data from me? They do legally have to do it, but managing it yourself is an absolute nightmare.
And I want to say that services like that probably did exist, but I would have to look up when that particular company came about. But I suspect it was after, or perhaps even right around the same time that this article was written. Because it was 4 years ago, you know, and as we know, there's internet time and then there's regular time. And internet time seems to move a heck of a lot faster. And I have a feeling that service came around since then, because that certainly would be something good to mention in relation to this. And then, once something is on these services, uh, I don't know what happens if you do go through Instagram and you remove all the pictures, which you presumably already have on your phone, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But if you remove all the pictures, if you remove the images and stories and interests that you gathered on Facebook, if you close your account on the various wedding services, um, that still doesn't bring a stop to it.
That's right. I mean, one of the things she mentioned in the article was one of the services she contacted to say, what happens if I just completely delete my account? And they said, oh yeah, fair enough, you can delete your account, but we still keep the data because just in case you want to come back again,
Right.
you just reactivate that account. So the data never goes. It seems almost impossible, not for every service, because many services do let you completely remove all your data. But this one particular service said that no, they never delete the actual full account information, just in case you want to come back again.
Well, because they didn't annoy you enough the first time.
Exactly.
Um, so I think there are certainly ways to mitigate some of these things from popping up in your life when you don't expect them to. Um, I guess I don't, I don't use Instagram, so I don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't use
Yeah.
Facebook, so I don't have Facebook on my phone. You can turn off notifications from these services. If you have an app for a third party, in this case, wedding coordination / management service, delete the app. Get rid of things that might potentially throw a notification up in your face and say, hey, remember this? Hey, you want to look at this dress? Hey, how about these cakes over here? Get rid of the things that can immediately pop up in your face. In terms of ads that may appear to you because of your history with these companies, there are ad blockers. There are
Yeah.
things you can install on your network, like Pi-hole, which I hope to
That's
talk
right.
about in a future episode here. But
But isn't it a
um,
shame that we have to go through all these hoops and things in the modern world to mitigate all these things that we never used to have to mitigate back in the day when the internet was new and everything was rainbows and unicorns? We thought it was going to be fantastic, and now it's turned into a little bit of a nightmare sometimes.
but I want rainbows and unicorns.
Well, so do I.
Um, and then there are folks, I paid attention to the comments, the letters to the editor in the following issue, because there were some comments that simply referred to these type, and it's almost always memories. It's the
Mm,
Google photo memories and the Apple photo memories and things like that are immediately popping up in your face that a lot of folks equate to being creepy. But then there were some comments from folks who had gone through major changes in their lives, like a
mm.
transition. And once you go through that, do you do you want to forget the previous life, or do you want to acknowledge it and respect it, but not necessarily have it pop up in front of you all the time in these memories? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, it
and
can be quite distressing. Yeah.
it could be distressing. And that was
Yeah.
kind of the point of one of the letter writers is, yeah, I went through this, um, and I'm not ashamed of who I was. I'm not ashamed of who I am, obviously. But I don't necessarily want one life intruding on the other.
Absolutely.
And I think
Understandable.
that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about things that we do have a little bit more control of. And that would be managing, in the case of Apple users, Apple Photos and ways that we can mitigate or outright prevent photos from surfacing that we may not want to have shoved in our faces, but also maybe aren't ready to delete fully from our lives. And to that point, Ms. Good wrote, the photo widget on my iPad cycles through pictures of wedding dresses. Yeah, she doesn't need that. She doesn't need Apple Photos popping up memories
Reminders
of
yeah.
wedding dresses. So how can she mitigate that? She's got this long solved. But for those who are listening, how can one mitigate that type of thing from happening without outright erasing that part of your past? And I think that's important. I don't ever, even if it's a bad memory, I don't want to erase it from my past, but I don't also want it shoved in my face, right? And that's
yeah,
what
that's
memories.
It. You don't want to be reminded of it every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what memories could potentially do. So here are a couple ways you can do it. And the first is to just disable memories entirely. Memories is a feature of Apple Photos, both on the Mac and on iOS/iPadOS. And you can turn it off if you don't like memories, if you don't use memories, and certainly if you don't appreciate that they're popping up all the time. If you find them creepy, you can turn them off. And it's actually quite easy to do. On the Mac, now on the Mac, you have to go into the Photos app. So on the Mac, you go into the Photos app, and then under Photos Settings, or I guess Preferences if you're on an older version, but under Photos Settings, you go to the General tab, and then you uncheck Show Featured Content. That's it. Just uncheck Show Featured Content. And then if you also want to not be reminded of other types of memories, there's another checkbox for holiday events. So you can uncheck Show Holiday Events as well. So those are a couple ways that you can just disable memories entirely on the Mac.
Yeah. I think Apple could do with renaming those things because it's difficult to for the average person, it's difficult to know what that relates to. Like what am I turning on and off here? Because those words are almost meaningless sometimes to the average user.
This is not an uncommon trait for Apple. It is annoying to me to no end that the app is called Photos. It makes it very difficult to describe.
Well, I like it called Photos, but yeah.
I liked it called iPhoto. iPhoto was distinctive.
Oh,
it was trademarkable. Come up with something unique that doesn't mean the same thing as the thing you're trying to manage. It's very confusing when you're trying to explain it to somebody who doesn't understand that, or they're new to the Mac. So, Apple has a tendency to do that. And calling to disable memories by unchecking Show Featured Content, you're right. That does not.
Yeah.
There's no clickability there.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Okay,
a memory
naturally.
is a featured content, but you wouldn't necessarily know that by the explanation of what you've just clicked on. It doesn't mean what you think it means.
Turn off featured content. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how you do it. You turn off Show Featured Content, and then you can also uncheck Show Holiday Events. Those are two things that you can do. Now on the phone, it's a little bit different. If you're on iOS 18 or earlier, I only went back as far as 18. If you're on iOS 18, you can turn off all memories by going to Settings and then into Apps and then into Photos. So you got to go a couple levels deep into Settings, Apps, Photos. Once you're in there, you can turn off memories and featured photos and holiday events as well. So that's iOS 18. Now in iOS 26, Apple changed things because, of course they did. So to turn off, and this is from Apple's website, to turn off memories and holidays and other featured content, you go to the Photos app. So like on the Mac, you go to the Photos app, and then you tap Collections, and then you tap your account in the top right corner, and
Oh
then
God, that's obscure.
yeah, this is from their support page. And then you hide featured content and memories by turning off show featured content, and that would tell photos to stop automatically generating featured photos and memories. And then again, you can turn off show holiday events, and then that prevents photos from creating memories and featured content about holidays. So
Oh, I have a quick question.
that's how you do it in Photos on iOS and on the Mac. Yes, sir.
Indeed, excellent. Yeah. What I've not tried this, so this hence my question. Um, if memories is turned off entirely, can you still go in and create a memory if you choose to do that? Is that possible? I've never tried it.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good
Uh,
question.
Answers on a postcard.
Someone out there, please try it and let us know.
Excellent. Yes, that would be fabulous.
I am going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that yes, you can. And the reason I'm going to say yes, you can is tied to one of my other options that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, and that's having separate photo libraries on the Mac.
Oh,
When you have multiple photo libraries, each of those libraries has a memory section. But iCloud Photos, in fact, your system library, is where those memories are automatically generated. They're not automatically generated in your additional libraries that you create. So I'm going to say that because second or third or fourth libraries that you might add to your Mac have a memory section that you can, in fact, generate memories, they would be stored in there, but they wouldn't necessarily pop up in your feed because they're not part of the system photo library.
because they're not syncing. Yes,
Yes.
right, that makes sense.
But if someone has tried this, let us know.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, so that's the first thing you can do. You can just turn off memories entirely. If you don't like the memories feature, if you whether they're good memories or bad memories, if you think that Apple going through your photos and generating these things automatically and popping them up from time to time, whether it's on your watch or your phone or whatever, if that's creepy to you, turn them off. Just turn them off. Just don't even use them. Now, the other way to do it, and this might help the author of the article a little bit more, especially when it comes to the iPad surfacing old photos of wedding dresses, is to not show a person or a type of photo um, less frequently, or show them less frequently.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Can you
and
do that with albums as well?
you can. Ooh,
Like
good
so if you
question.
didn't want
Let's test it.
if you didn't want a specific album to be included in a memory, could you do that? Because I know, as you were saying, I think you can do that with faces and types of photos as well. So say, for instance, any photos with the mountains in, don't include those in a memory because you have a phobia of mountains. Um, but I don't know if you can do that with albums, because that would be quite handy. Because if you've specifically put your bad memories in an album, it would be great if you could point to that album and say, never make this a memory.
It does not appear you can do that. I did just pull up
Ah,
photos on the Mac just now. It does not appear that you can do that. However,
excellent.
however, maybe this tip will still help in that regard because there's two things you can do. One is to uh, go to a go to people and pets.
Yes.
Such a weirdly named area because whatever, people and pets, and you can hide people from it. So you can right
Yes.
click on a person, you can hide this person. Now, I believe that only hides them from the people and pets, but that's kind of important. You want to hide them. You want to tell photos that this person is not necessarily important to you. So
Yes. So
tuck
not
them
to
out of the
include
way,
it in a memory. Yeah.
right? So tuck them out of the way. But more importantly, what you can do is when a memory is generated, if it's something that you are not a fan of, like mountains, and we have to dig into this fear of mountains that you talked about there,
Oh, I
Darren.
love mountains.
You right click on the memory, and then you have two options. One, you can right click on it and say feature less, or
Yes.
you can just outright delete the memory. You can right click a memory under memories, and this is on the Mac. So within Photos on the Mac, under memories, you can right click a
Mm.
memory and you can choose feature less, which is going to essentially train it. It's a little like training an
Yeah,
email
yeah,
service that a message is spam or not spam. You're
yeah, yeah.
training it that you don't want to see these types of memories. So you say feature less. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll never see them, but you should be training it that you don't want to see these types of things. And then the other option, as I said, is to outright delete the memory. So you right click it and you delete the memory. Now on
Yes.
iOS, this would be also on the Photos app on your phone, and you open up a photo of the person you want to show less often, and then you tap the More button and you tap Feature this person less. And I presume you can do the same thing with memories on the iPhone as well. I actually didn't look that
Yes.
up, but you can do the same thing that you do with memories, and that is to, that's interesting that the iPhone has, you go into the person you want to show less often, but when you go to people and pets on the Mac, you can delete that person, you can remove them from favorites, you can rename them, but it doesn't have a feature less. Interesting.
Uh,
But on
so
iOS,
maybe you can ask Apple for a feature request
yeah, there you
to
go.
say, can you include albums in excluding from memories? That would be
Well, that would be
a nice
great if you
feature
could
to add.
exclude albums. That would solve
That'd
a
be great.
lot of problems
That
because you can
solves
just
lots
throw
of
everything in
issues,
there.
doesn't it? Yeah.
I have an alternative to that in just a moment, but on iOS 26, it is similar. You go to the Photos app on your iPhone, open the photo of the person you want to show less often, tap the More button, and then tap Don't Feature a Person. If there's more than one person in the photo, you tap the person you want to feature less. Oh, that's
Oh,
actually
that's quite subtle difference.
a
Yeah.
much better, more refined way of doing it on iOS 26 versus
Yeah,
iOS
that's quite
18.
nice.
Yeah, that's
Because
kind
if
of
you've got,
nice.
say, a photo of, say, myself and my ex-girlfriend, I can go in and just say, feature this person less, but not
Feature
me.
this
So
person less. Yep.
indeed,
So then you have feature this person less, and you also have under iOS 26, never feature this person, and then tap confirm. And then if you ever want to feature them again, under collections, you tap your account in the top right corner, and then tap reset people and pets suggestions. So there you go. That's how you do it on iOS. Now, I have a slightly different way to expunge memories from photos. Part of the deal with photos is that because we have this concept of a system library, we have in other words, a main photo library on our Mac. And indeed, we only have one photo library on our phone and our iPad. That's it. You can only have one library on your iPhone or your iPad. To my
that's
knowledge,
it.
I
If you
don't
want
know
them
of
to, yeah,
any
yeah,
other way to do another library on your iOS device. On the Mac, you can have multiple libraries. But because it's a system library, that system library is the library that iCloud Photos uses to sync
yes, to stay
your
in sync.
photos
Yeah,
across all your devices. So your system library is the one that syncs. So if you have a whole bunch of photos that you simply don't want to ever see surface again on any of your devices, I have two ways to do that. And the first is a little bit more brute force way. Because if you want to entirely avoid the potential for Apple to not understand what we mean when we say don't feature this person, or more precisely, what we want photos to do when we play with those options, there are some other methods that might work much better. And all of these solutions, as I said, are for Mac users, not iPhone or iPad users. Although I
Yeah.
suppose you could, in a pinch, do this first one from iOS. And my first solution is to export to folders. I said export to photos, export to folders. And you could export to folders on your Mac. You could export to folders on an external drive. You could export to Dropbox or OneDrive or
Yeah.
iCloud, iCloud files. Um, and then you can just access the pictures whenever you want. You know, the old fashioned way.
Yeah. The
Um,
old-fashioned way,
yep,
outside of Photos. So it's
outside
no
of
longer in the
photos.
Photos database. It's in a standard file structure.
It's outside of photos so that Apple can't potentially use them for memories. Now,
Yeah.
um, depending on how organized you want to be, this is going to take a little bit of planning. But it is, as we just said, a great way to remove old memories or old pictures from photos in your system photo library without going scorched earth on your pics. So, so first, figure out where you want to put those exported photos. Now, in my case, I actually have an external drive that I use specifically for archiving photos, and unsurprisingly, I have a folder on that drive called Pictures. Gee, what do you know? I called it Pictures. Now, within that folder, I have several subfolders, and each of those subfolders represents an event. And event is kind of an old iPhoto term, but I still use it. So each of those folders represents an event within which I'm going to drop some pictures. Um,
Yeah.
so kind of a traditional file structure. You got a parent
Yeah.
folder, you've got child folders. The parent folder is pictures, the child folders represent events. And with that structure in place, now you can export. Now to do so, you launch Photos. And if you're like most users, the library that opens will be your system photo library. That is the default on Macs and iPhones. Your system photo library. Locate the pictures that you would like to archive. In other words, the pictures you would like to get out of Photos. Select them. And the nice thing is you can select them one at a time. You can select multiple photos at once using either Command click if you are trying to select pictures that are not in a row or not in a series, if you will. Or you can Shift click and drag to select an entire row of photos if you want. The point is select your photos. Select your photos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and if you're lucky, you've organized your pictures into albums. This goes back to your question earlier.
This helps quite a lot.
We can do this by album. So this helps a lot because you can select an entire album at once as well. Once you've got your picture selected or once you've selected your album, the rest of this is easy. On the File menu, go to Export and then choose Export Unmodified Originals. That's important. Unmodified originals. In other words, the pictures as taken by your phone or by your camera
Yeah.
that was uploaded into Photos. The keyboard shortcut is Option Command E. That's the Export Unmodified Originals. Or you can select Export Unmodified Originals for Album. You're going to be asked how you would like to name the files. I just leave it at the default, which is to use the original file name.
Yeah. Original file name, I usually. Yeah.
Original file name. And then you can also choose how you would like the what you would like the subfolder format to be, which I just leave again at the default as none. So with your file name structure in place, choose export, and then a file save Finder window is going to open where you can choose the export location. And in my case, that pictures folder that I mentioned a moment ago. And then once you're in that pictures folder, if you have not already created folders within which to export your pictures, you can also click the new folder button if you want to go ahead and create a folder while you are exporting. And
Yeah.
that could be handy as well. And then finally, just click Export Originals. That's it. Once the export completes, your original images will be safely tucked away outside of the Photos app, and then you can delete them from Photos. Just don't forget that with iCloud Photos enabled, doing so will delete them from all of your devices. So
Yes.
make sure they've exported properly, make sure that the export looks okay, and then it's safe to delete them. And also keep in mind that when you do delete them from Photos, unless you have it set up otherwise, they go to a deleted folder. I think it's,
Yeah,
what is
there's a
it? It's not called
30-day
trash. It's called deleted,
it's
recently
deleted
deleted.
items, I think.
Yeah,
Recently
recently
deleted.
deleted.
Yeah, that's it.
It goes to the recently deleted folder within Photos, and they'll sit in there for 30
Yeah.
days, and then they start to peel off one day at a time as you get rid of them. And by
Yeah.
default, that's password protected, so you can't accidentally go in and look at these old memories unless you really want to. But they go into recently deleted, and then they'll disappear after 30 days. So that's it. You once everything's tucked away, you can delete them from Photos, and then no longer will those photos pop up in memories, within trips, within featured photos, or anywhere else because they are no longer part of your system photo library. Now, the best
Yeah.
part is that if you ever decide you would like to revisit any of those photos, all you have to do is open up a Finder window and browse to that Pictures folder where you can peruse those old memories on your own terms. And that's where something like Quick Look comes into play, because you can select one or multiple photos, press the spacebar or right click and choose Quick Look, and
Yeah.
browse nice
Just have a quick
larger
look.
versions of the pictures, with your keyboard or mouse or whatever you want. And
Yeah.
it's a nice way to look at pictures that you don't necessarily need within Photos, and you don't need syncing to iCloud.
Yeah. Or to go one step further from that,
Yeah.
I do it precisely that thing you've mentioned, that whole set of steps I've done, and put some photos that I didn't want to have in my um, photos library into a separate set of folders, which just happens to be on my cloud services and so on.
Right.
But to come back to what you were saying about not being able to access them easily on your iPhone or iPad, I've got a little addition to that, which is I use an application, although you can do it with Apple's built-in Files app if you
Yes.
point it to the right place. So with storing your photos from Photos, I've messed up my words now.
See, that's that
Into the
naming
cloud.
thing,
There you
Apple.
go. That comes in the naming thing. You've proved my point. You proved the point. Exactly. Yes. Good point. Um, so I can access them through the Files app on my iPhone or iPad, but there's an even better thing, that there's an app available which wasn't going to be my app pick, but could possibly be a one part of an app pick, which is what's it called? I've got to remind myself the name now. Oh yes. File Browser Professional. I think I might have mentioned it before, actually.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I've heard of that.
one of the good things about that one on iOS and iPad is that when you point it to your cloud saved pictures folder, um, it has a really nice viewer in it for media viewer. So you can, in a way, view all of these memories or photos that you don't want to normally see in Photos itself, but separately through something like File Browser Professional, because it's got a really nice media viewer. So you just point it to your cloud storage of where you exported your photos Photos to, then uh, that allows you to see them easily on your mobile devices without having to uh, uh, manage another type of thing other than photos itself.
And I'm going to add just two things to that. That process that you describe using files or using File Browser Professional depends upon exporting to a cloud service versus
Yes,
to an
because
external
that's
drive.
easy to get to. Yeah,
Right. So in my case, I export it to an external drive, so I just know I'm only going to be able to access them on the Mac.
yeah.
In your case, you export them to a cloud service. So yeah, you could use the app for that cloud service, Dropbox or what have you, the Files app, which integrates very
Yeah,
nicely with multiple files. I'm sorry, multiple cloud services,
cloud services. Yeah, yeah.
or File Browser Professional. Very cool. That's great advice, especially if you want to potentially look at these pictures while on the go. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I was talking about quick looking the pictures, which is my preferred way to do it. But we can't forget that the Finder has its own gallery view. So if you are in your pictures
Oh,
folder
of course.
and
Yes.
you switch from icon view to list view to column view to gallery view,
I
there's a
forgot
very
about
nice
gallery
way
view.
to browse through pictures within a folder straight from the
Brilliant.
Finder. So that's another good way to do it too. The other thing I wanted to mention, which might be better for some folks, is rather than exporting them to a folder on your Mac or to a cloud service, would be to export it or to create a separate photo library, which I kind of hinted at earlier. And that's if you like browsing and organizing your pictures within photos, but you don't want some of those old memories to creep up on you. Now, again, the Mac makes this easy peasy to do that because the Mac allows you to create multiple photo libraries. Now, I actually do that for other reasons. I have not only my system photo library, which is where my iPhone pics go to and sync amongst all my devices via iCloud Photos, but I also have a photo library dedicated to pictures that I pull off my DSLR because those are pictures I
Oh,
don't
I
want
see.
syncing everywhere. They're pictures from vacations and pictures from around the house and all that stuff that I take with my quote real camera. I import those into a separate photos library that's on an external drive, and that's where I put all those pictures. And I know that they're never going to sync to iCloud. Well, one because I don't want to pay for all that storage. I have them on a dedicated 2 terabyte external drive, which I admit
Wow.
to some folks is not particularly large for photo libraries, and I'm using about 1.5 terabytes of that just for this one library. So
Wow. You take quite a lot of photos.
that is not a library that I want syncing to iCloud because I simply don't want to pay for all that storage. So I have it
Yeah.
on an external SSD. That's where that photo library is, and then that external drive and my Mac's primary drive get backed up to my time machine. So that's how I do that. But if you want to do something similar and use a second photo library just to keep pictures that you would like to archive out of photos so they don't potentially pop up in memories later on, this is a great way to do it. And I will admit it's a multi-step process if you do it this way. And step one is to export all the pictures that you no longer want in your primary system photo library, just like we discussed a moment ago. So go through your library, find your albums, find your pictures, export them to a folder on your Mac, whether it's an external drive or cloud service or wherever. Export them out of photos. Once you're sure they're exported, once you're sure they're safe, you can go ahead and remove them from photos because they're now outside of the photo library. And then step two is to create a new library to put them in. So how do you do that? Well, you do that with the handy dandy Option key. And you simply hold down Option while you are launching Photos. And if you do that, if you hold down Option first and then click Photos to launch it, or double click it if it's in your Applications folder, you're going to get a little dialog box with options to, one, open another library, a library that is not already listed in the dialog box. You'll have another option to choose one of the libraries that is listed, or a third option to create a new library. So clicking Create New gives you a pop-up dialog where you can choose a new location, external drive, just another location on your Mac, your pictures folder, wherever you want to create this other library. Choose that new location, and then name the library. Now, you might want to give it a name, something like Old Memories I Kind of Want to Forget, but Not Entirely. Something like that.
Rolls off the tongue. Excellent.
It rolls off the tongue. Maybe call it Old Memories, maybe call it Old Pictures, maybe call it Archive Photos, whatever you want to call it, as long as you recognize what that library represents. And by the way, you can create multiple libraries, not just 2. You can create 10 libraries if you want to.
Yeah.
That's a little excessive.
It can get confusing, but yeah.
Yeah, you can do it. But create this other library, give it a name, find a place to store it, and click OK. And then your new library will be created and opened. And then with that new library open, just drag and drop pictures from that export location, or maybe even better, from within Photos, select File, Import, and then point to that location full of your exported photos. And if you have them in subfolders, it's even better because they'll import that way. But your pics will be imported, and now you can organize them however you would like. And the beauty of this method is that you can use Photos to manage those old pictures, to see those old pictures, to view them, to print them, to edit them, to do whatever you want to with them. But because they are not part of the system photo library, aka the iCloud photo library, they will never pop up in Memories on your Mac, your iPhone, or your other Apple devices. There is one thing to remember, though, and that is that Photos on the Mac will always remember the last library that you opened. So once you are done managing your new library, close Photos, hold down the Option key again, launch Photos, and select your system library, which is nicely marked as system library. Select your system library to make that the default again. And then one last tip, if you can't remember holding down the Option key, once the library is created, you don't have to hold down the Option key each time you want to switch. Just locate that library that you want to open and double click it. Some of the folks I know who have multiple photo libraries, what they do is they create aliases on their desktop.
It's a good idea, yeah.
And just double click that alias and it will open up the library that you want. So that is a great way to not only get those pictures out of your primary system photo library, but also to be able to better manage them if you like the Photos interface and you don't want to muck about with the Finder and things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Or that file browser professional that you mentioned. No, actually, you did mention that before. It sounds really good. Now, I have one more thing to mention, and it's one last really quick way to manage multiple libraries, especially if you don't want to manually export and import your photos like we just discussed, and that is to use a third-party tool. And the one that I absolutely love and I use myself is called PowerPhotos. And PowerPhotos.
Yes, I've heard good things about that.
It's fantastic. It is from a company, developer called Fat Cat Software. I almost said Studios. It's Fat Cat Software. And it's called PowerPhotos. And it's not free. It's $40. But oh my gosh, it is so worth getting if you need or want to manage multiple photo libraries on your Mac, because it does so much more than what you'll ever want to do by hand. And it can do stuff that the regular export and import process just can't do. So some of the things, I just pulled up a little list here, some of the things that PowerPhotos can do is one, manage multiple libraries. So when you have more than one library on your Mac, they all show up in the sidebar of PowerPhotos. And to switch
Oh,
from
that's
one to the
nice.
other, you just click it. Just click it, and then the photos and albums and everything from that library pop up right in the main PowerPhotos window.
Wow.
It's super slick. Now that's important because you can also do things like find and delete duplicate photos, which photos will let you do too, but not across libraries. Um, this will do that. The other thing it can do that you simply can't do by hand very easily is merge your libraries. If you want to
Yes.
take two photo libraries and make them one, PowerPhotos will do that for you. Um, this is kind of cool. You know, we talked about exporting unmodified originals, but when you export unmodified originals, guess what you can't do? You can't export the edits. You can't export the metadata that
That's
you
right.
put on those
All your
pictures
edits go away.
because you are exporting
The
unmodified
originals,
originals,
yeah.
right? So PowerPhotos actually has a feature um, that is, well, it's just, what do they call it? I'm going to look because I can't remember what they call it.
Uh, a live, almost live demo nearly.
Lies almost. I should pop it up, but it's got all my personal photos in it, and I don't want to do that.
Oh yeah, no, don't show it on the screen.
Yeah, shoot, I can't remember what they call it, but you can. I think it's just unmodified originals with metadata. I think that's what they call it, which is super cool because when you do that, any tags that you put on the photos, location
Yeah, yeah.
data,
Location data, yeah, that's a big one.
edits that you've made, all comes with it, which is very, very nice. And then you can also search across libraries. So when you have more than one library, you can perform a search and take
Nice.
into account all of them. Whereas with photos, you can only search the library that's
One,
currently
one at a time. Yeah,
open. Yeah.
you can only search the library that you've opened. Yeah.
And then the exporting. Exporting is a little bit more complicated. When you export from PowerPhotos, you have a lot more options to include not only the unmodified original, but the quality of the export, the format of the
Ah,
export,
yes, nice.
whether you want full size or a smaller size, the metadata that you want to include, uh, captions, dates, keywords, location data, titles.
Wow.
You have so much control over the export process that you don't have with photos. So those are just a few of the things that you can do with it that I could think of off the top of my head. I added 5 things to
Cool.
my little bullet point list here, and yeah, batch edit photo. Oh, batch edit photo metadata. That's another thing you can do too. So you can select a whole bunch of photos and edit the metadata of them all at once, which you might be able to do with
Oh
photos
yes,
too,
that's
actually,
that's
now that I
really
think about that.
handy, especially when you have a camera that takes really nice photos, but it doesn't include the location. But you've got your phone with you that does include the location. You can take
Exactly.
the location metadata to all the other photos that haven't got location information and say, save with PowerPhotos, save this location information across all these other photos as well.
Oh, did you know you can do that with photos as well? If that
No, I
is
didn't.
that is
Oh,
an
wow. Okay.
that's an old quick tip from for Mac Eyes Only. That is an old quick
Wow.
tip I gave a long time ago. When you are on a trip, if you have a camera like mine, my DSLR does
Mm,
not have GPS on it.
yeah.
So it doesn't store location data in the pictures that I take. In fact, one of the things that annoys me about it is I always have to remember to change the time when I cross time zones. But if you want to uh, capture location data, just take a picture. Take a picture of your feet with your iPhone. It doesn't matter what you take
Yes,
a
that's what
picture
I do.
of,
Yeah, yeah.
as long as you know
So
that
I've got a
picture
reference.
was
Yeah,
taken at the time and location of these other photos that you took with your
yeah,
DSLR. You can import that photo into your photo library along with your DSLR pictures, copy
yeah.
it, and then paste the location data onto your DSLR photos. It's super handy, super quick. Love it. I do it all the time.
Excellent.
Actually, I don't do it all the time. I'm lying. I used to do it all the time, and I've gotten lazy and I stopped doing it all the time, but I need to do it all the time. The good news is that I do often take little, even when I'm not using my DSLR, I do take little quick photos with my iPhone all the time. So I've got
Yeah,
photos
yeah.
from both devices. So now I know that when I want to do something like that, if I want to paste the location data, I have plenty of photos to choose from my iPhone in order to do that.
Cool.
One last thing about PowerPhotos, I was actually using version 1.9 under Sequoia, and it worked great. It's a much older version. They're on version 3 right now. And I was using 1.9 and it was working just fine under Sequoia, under Photos and all that. And it was only recently that I upgraded to the newer version 3. My biggest regret in doing so is that PowerPhoto's cute little robot icon has been jailed in a Squircle. But but if I'm being
Oh dear.
honest, in terms of managing your pictures, I actually find it to be a much better version of Photos than Photos. In fact, I can almost
Well, yeah, yeah. A more
I
powerful version. 'Cause,
much more powerful, and
yeah.
I can feel little callbacks to iPhoto, as well
I
as
see.
one of my big pet peeves with Photos is the ability to better adjust how your pictures are sorted. So if you always
Okay.
want your new pictures at the top or new pictures at the bottom, guess what? Power Photos can display them that way to you, whereas Photos can't. So that's one thing I like about that. The one thing that it does not offer is the same editing tools as Photos, but the nice thing is once you're in Power Photos, it's just a simple click to pop over to Photos from Power Photos, do what you need to do, and those updates, of course, will translate over because Power Photos is just looking at the exact same library that Photos is looking at. So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not an affiliate thing. It's just an app that I really really enjoy. I get a lot of good use out of. And if you're looking for a way to manage multiple photo libraries on your Mac because you have multiple photo libraries, uh, Power Photos is a great way to do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah. There was one new thing in 3 that I did not. Let's see, what was the new thing in 3 that I didn't have before in the old version? I think it was the batch metadata editing. That was something that I took note of. Is that you can batch edit the titles and captions and keywords, as we said, and then copying or moving photos and album. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. If and the old version did this too. When you have multiple libraries open within PowerPhotos, that's the whole point of mentioning this, Darren. Why didn't I talk about this? When you
Just bury the
have
lead.
multiple libraries open within PowerPhotos, to get pictures from one to the other, you just drag and drop them. Locate the pictures in one, drag them over to the other, and you can copy them or move them. And it's super super slick, super easy, and there's none of this exporting and then importing stuff. You just drag and drop it, and you're on your way. So
Between
that
libraries, brilliant. Yeah,
that was
that's what you
kind of
want.
the whole point of mentioning it, and I neglected to mention that until the end here. But Power Photos does a lot of stuff for you when you have multiple libraries on your Mac. So that was the only thing I
Excellent.
wanted to mention there, Darren. Was there anything else about Ms. Good's article that we should talk about before we move on to your essential app?
No, I don't think so. No, I think I've had a nice little rant about about all those nefarious people gathering your data and what to look out for. I think the only thing to reiterate perhaps is to look at the services you're using or planning to use, and see what their business model is. Like, how do they make their money? Then you'll know to what extent you may or may not be part of the product.
That is an excellent point. Always read the terms of service, no matter how long they are.
Oh, I may not go that far.
Maybe don't go that far, but yes, it is very important to know how they are going to not only use your data, but how they're going to use you.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you think? If you have any feedback or would like to share any of your own ways of managing photos on your Mac or your iPhone, and maybe help prevent them popping up from memories for you, you can drop me a line, mike@formacisonly.com, or leave a comment in the show notes for this episode, and we will share your comments here on the show. Well, Darren, we are up to our Essential app. You know, the Essential app is an app that one of us picks each episode that we think every Mac user should have in their applications folder. And I didn't actually ask if you have one, Darren, but I pretty much said in an email that you needed to come up with one.
Yes, you did indeed.
So what is your Essential app this episode, Darren?
Well, this is always a little bit tricky for me, actually, because as you know, I'm a little bit of a digital minimalist, as well as a physical minimalist in a way, almost. Although you can't really see that from my kitchen. The trouble is that this probably isn't an app that everyone should have on their Macs, but it is a very useful app. Related to the issues I was having with hard disks and NASes and all of these things.
Excellent.
And this is to mention the service that I use, or I will be using, which is OneDrive, and what the Mac client is like. So this is the OneDrive Mac client. It has some very interesting features. So, for instance, you know, on the Mac that oh, sorry, I have a little bit of a cough here. Well, try not to die. Right. You know, on the Mac, you can right-click a folder and you can say, always make this available. Well, the opposite of that is to not have these files available on your Mac and just only store them in the cloud. That isn't currently possible with iCloud. What tends to happen is, as you use files, they're downloaded to your Mac and you use them, but they're only freed up when and if the Mac may run out of space, or if it decides now is a good time to clean up its caching of data, that sort of thing. So it's not really controlled by you as such. Whereas with OneDrive, it's quite nice because there's a feature on there where you can right-click a folder of data and say, only make this available on the cloud. So you can effectively remove the local copy of files if you don't want them to take up loads of space. Say, for instance, you have a terabyte worth of data available to you in OneDrive, but you've only got a 256 gig drive on your Mac. You wouldn't want everything on the cloud to be suddenly surfaced on the Mac, else you'd run out of space. So it's quite a nice option where and now as default, when you install the nice new OneDrive client, by default it just has everything in the cloud and takes up hardly any storage at all on your Mac until you go to use a file. And then you can choose to unload that from your Mac, so it only exists in the cloud, which is an interesting option that isn't possible with iCloud. And the other nice feature of OneDrive is that it has revisions, so kind of like almost a cloudy version of Time Machine-ish, nearly. You can go back in time to several revisions of files. So if you make a change to a file, you can go back. I think it's up to 9 times, so they store 9 revisions for each change, which is very handy indeed. And it's also one of the ways that you can fend against encryption malware, whereby some nefarious types might choose to encrypt your entire file storage and say, right, unless you pay the ransomware, you don't get your data back. Well, you can just then jump into OneDrive on the web and go back to before you were infected with the malware and say, oh, let's restore my data to that point, and you get all your data back without having to give any money to some horrible people out there that are trying to extort money from you.
That is
So
one of Microsoft's ways of convincing Windows users that they need to turn on OneDrive, is to say this is
exactly,
a way to
it's a
protect you
yeah,
against, yeah,
yeah, yeah. They're not wrong. It is useful, an extremely useful feature to have. Also, not just for data storage, but for security. The trouble is, Microsoft does absolutely shove it in users' faces of poor Windows users'
they
faces
do.
all the time when they definitely don't want it. So the Microsoft are correct. It is a good thing for users to adopt, but they're sometimes so aggressive with it. They turn people off what would be a good resource for them to use. So they're sort of shooting themselves in the foot a bit there.
Indeed. Yeah, that is, I like those features. And on the surface, it sounds very similar to what Dropbox offers in terms of
Yes.
revisions and the ability to restore deleted files and things like that. Now, in Dropbox's case, the amount of time that you have to restore files from the trash or to go back in revisions is based really on how much you decide to pay them. It's based on the different levels of service that you subscribe to with Dropbox.
Right.
Is is OneDrive similar in that regard? Do you get more
I I
if you
think you get
subscribe, or
Yeah, I think you get all of the services for a flat fee. So once you pay the fee for the storage, you get all of those services. So there's not any hidden services you have to pay extra for, and there's no like
yeah.
added extras, which is nice.
And they automatically. So one thing that you said very early on is that, and Dropbox kind of works this way too. It's in the cloud by default, but if you say, store it locally, it'll download it and keep that copy local on your Mac. But I don't believe it ever reverts it back to being cloud if I specifically say store it locally.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of OneDrive, especially. You can just, yeah, you can revert that and say, I only store this in the cloud if you don't want to. So you could choose a specific folder to always be there,
Right.
and you can choose other specific folders that you only want access to occasionally to always only live in the cloud. It's quite nice how you can choose how your data is stored, whether some of it is local and some of it is never local.
Very good. And then you said you were using the free version of that,
I am.
but there is a paid version. In fact, if you subscribe to Microsoft 365, you get a gob of storage included with
Absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
which I guess you could look at a couple different ways. I can't remember if I mentioned this before or after we started recording, but I'm paying about $120 a year for Dropbox, and that's for 2 terabytes of storage. And I'm not using 2 terabytes of storage. That's just what I'm paying for.
Mm.
Microsoft gives you 1 terabyte of storage if you subscribe to Microsoft 365, which includes the desktop apps. And that is
Yeah.
about
The
$100 a
Office
year for
suite.
the family plan.
That's
So
right. So it's already cheaper, but also with the added advantage of if you use it, if you make use of it.
if you use it, if you use the apps, yeah.
Yeah, the Office, Microsoft Office apps, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there may be and that's the family plan. So there may be advantages to subscribing if you need or want more storage, and you also have need for the apps. Personally, I bounce between the Microsoft Office apps, Apple's productivity apps and LibreOffice. I don't use any cloud office apps, but those are the three suites I primarily use, and each is used for a different purpose. If I'm
Yeah,
going to be doing a lot of spreadsheet work or generating a new spreadsheet, I tend to gravitate towards numbers. If I'm going to
same
work
here
with
actually.
something someone sent
That's
me, I pop open Excel. It just kind of depends on what I'm working with at
yeah,
any given point in
yeah.
time. But I find myself in pages and numbers just as much as I find myself in Word and Excel. So you never know. And then
Yeah, yeah.
PowerPoint. I mean,
Personally, I don't need the Microsoft local apps suite myself.
yeah,
So that means I can go, and also I don't have as much data to store. Um, so the next tier down from that, from the 1 terabyte, is the only £20 per year option, which gives you 100 gigabytes, and that's more than enough space
that's
for
pretty
me
good.
in the cloud. So that's quite a good deal. So that's the one I'm going to go for. Since I don't actually need the Microsoft Office apps at all, that's the perfect one for me.
And does OneDrive do the annoying? I know it does this on Windows. Does OneDrive do the annoying thing of automatically turning on your desktop and documents folder to sync to the cloud versus
Ah,
see,
no.
Apple doesn't automatically turn that on to their credit. I'd like to give Apple credit for not enabling documents and desktop to the cloud by default. But some of these services turn it on by default when you
Some
sign
of them
into
do,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think back in the long distance past, OneDrive might have done that in the past, but they no longer do. So I've only recently set this up. So I only downloaded the new client a couple of weeks ago, and judging by their setup, that they don't do that at all. So there's no defaulting of your documents and other folders being automatically moved and synced to OneDrive. So it's left as an option. So that's well done, Microsoft.
Well
And as you say,
done.
well done, Microsoft, well done, Apple as well.
So, your essential app this week is not
Is the
OneDrive, but specifically OneDrive
OneDrive client.
for the Mac.
Yes.
And I would like to say it's a nice, simple URL to get to it, but
It isn't.
it is Microsoft.com/e, well, in my case, en-us, it's probably en-uk for you, slash
Yeah.
Microsoft hyphen 365 slash OneDrive slash online hyphen cloud hyphen storage. Because it's
Oh, easy.
Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful because there are two um, OneDrive clients. You also may find that there's one in the App Store as well. That's a cut down version. So
Mm.
if you want all of the sync abilities, you do have to dig in slightly on the Microsoft website to go in and find the actual download link to the full sync client, which is slightly different. So there's two clients, so it can be a bit confusing. I'll see if I can dig out the URL and send it to you.
And as you mentioned, the free version, there is a free version of it. It's for one person, 5 gig of cloud storage, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
that lets you
iCloud.
experiment with things. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you can experiment with it and spending no money at all. And if you do find it useful, then you can expand on your usage of it and pay them a little bit of cash if you want to. Or if not, you can continue using your 5 gig or potentially bump it up to 10 or 15 gig if you do a little bit of promotion for Microsoft.
yeah. And then for yeah, as you said, for the $20 a year, you get 100 gig of cloud storage,
100 gig, which is
and
pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty
which is pretty
generous.
good.
Yeah.
And then
20 quid a year.
on top of that, you get the web and mobile versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive, and other apps. So, you
Yeah.
do get access to those apps if you ever need them in a pinch. And
Yeah,
for
that's
twenty
it.
bucks a
Yeah.
year, maybe that's good for most folks, I would think.
And that also includes hosted email services as well, so paid for, so i.e. without ads. So if you want to migrate your mail, calendar, and contacts services through to that as well, that would also be included in hosted mail services.
Yeah. The worst part about that is you have to use some variation of Outlook, and we all know what I think about
Yeah.
Outlook.
Well, the web version's not that, it's quite nice actually. That's one of the reasons why I use it, because the web mail version is quite nice. But yeah, I wouldn't want to use the Outlook app myself on any platform really, and not the Mac either. So, but yeah, for them just hosting your mail services, then they do act as a good host.
Just know that Outlook for the web has its origins in hotmail.com. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yep, yep, this is true.
And with that said, that is going to do it for this episode of For Mac Guys Only. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Remember, I do love to get your letters, so if you have any comments about the show, a tip to share, a software or hardware problem with your Mac, you can leave your favorites in the comments of this week's show notes found at formacguysonly.com, or you can drop me a line, mike at formacguysonly.com. And do be sure to subscribe to the show's YouTube channel at youtube.com/FMEOTV and click that little notification bell so you can find out when we are going live. You can join the chat room and catch all the behind the scenes stuff that doesn't make the final cut of the show. And thanks to our friends Brett and, I was going to say and Darren. That was you, Darren. To our friends Brett and Brian for popping into the chat room today. Thanks, guys. Good to see you in there. Darren, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Oh, the best way would definitely be to email me at darren@formacguysonly.com.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks to Darren for joining me this episode. Stay subscribed, and we'll talk to you next time. All right. And with that, we are going to say goodbye to the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And if you are in the U.S. or Canada, when is Canada's Thanksgiving? I was going to say, if you're in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving to everyone. That's this upcoming week. And, of course, we have Canadian Thanksgiving as well, which I don't know when that falls. Do you know when that falls? You don't have Thanksgiving. You got to work all week.
No,
we get days off this week.
That's it. Yeah. No. In around the Christmas time, we have any excuses to have Christmas meals at work and various other places as well.
Oh, there
so
you
it's
go.
just
Yeah.
it's wall to wall Christmas. So every day is Thanksgiving Day for over the months in the UK.
Every day is Thanksgiving in the UK. There you go.
Well,
or Christmas. Every day is Christmas.
Over Christmas at least.
Yeah. You know what we mean. All right. We've extended our stay. Goodbye, live stream. We will see. We will be back live here at youtube.com/FMEOTV on December 13th. December 13th. Expect Darren to be in his jingle bells and finest frockery for that one.
Wow. I'll have to get my antlers out.
Oh, we like that. All right. Bye, live stream. See you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.